quickly
Sir, start again.
judgment.
Hello.
Hi, good evening, all of you. Um, this is
So
we are live with the CDC Pro 11, and uh, the judgment basically is that um, this is a little easier. The data says this test is a little easier at various percentile points compared to uh, CAT 2024. Two sections seem to be easier, whereas the third section seems to be tougher. DI has worked out to be tougher. Quant and verbal seem to be a little easier when compared to CAT 2024. Right? Shashank, could you just share that slide where
this
this is
is
what the data is, right? 2024 data, and just uh,
this one.
so this is the data as on 5 p.m. today. This is what the data is. Um, Shade easier than CAT 2024, right? And and across all the percentiles, right? Across all the percentiles. However, if we go and look at uh, sections, maybe I think we can take a look at the next slide. This is what it seems to be, right? VARC a little easier than last year's CAT, Quant a little easier than last year's Quant, right? DLR, I think 2 questions tougher than last year's DLR, 2 or 3 questions, right? I think last time we had about at around 40, we had 99.5, about 3 questions tougher. Okay, so that's the broad overview, right? What we will do is first start off with the verbal overview and then move on to DILR and subsequently quant. Okay.
Abhishek, when you are saying easy from which angle, we the only judgment is data. We are comparing it from last year or last to last year or last to last to last year. So VARC has been easier as compared to last year as well as last to last years as well as last to last year because 99.5 at 49. This actually has never happened. DILR is on similar lines at 22, 23. It is more difficult than last year, but last to last year the data is more or less similar. QA has been easier because if you look at the data, this is individually you might feel it's a little more difficult, it's more easy, but it is overall data and it is selected from the scores of the students. So this is not the judgment of a single person, it is the overall data, what overall data is saying, right? So I'm not making a judgment and sir is also not making a judgment. We are just reading the data, what data is saying. So now, let's start with BARC section. And unfortunately, Jijo sir is not at this. He's not available here. So now this one.
Hi, sorry, I'm not able to attend this analysis session live. I want to spend sort of about 5 to 10 minutes in terms of giving my perspective on this the VRC section of CDC Pro number 11. Is there anything that we can learn? What are the things that I saw in this particular test in terms of your responses? And what are the things that probably we can pick up from this particular test and sort of moving forward and preparing ourselves to handle the cat this year. All right. So and then Shivku can carry forward this particular discussion, right? So this is at least this data is based on till about Sunday afternoon. So there could be slight variation sort of in this distribution of the score, but at least it is kind of uh, probably much more easier than the CDC Pro mocks that you've taken in the past, maybe a couple of them, but maybe very probably closer to at least the distribution of score back in, let's say, about 2021. But one of the things that I would want to understand is, so whatever be the level of difficulty of the paper, which we actually don't know, right? I mean, first of all, each year there are going to be 3 slots. There is slot 1, slot 2, and slot 3. What the level of difficulty within each of the slot is also something that we don't know. So at the end of the day, per se, if I look at the particular challenges that is thrown by the test, whether it is easy, difficult, or medium, is, so to speak, is not that relevant. But what is actually relevant is me as an individual, how many I was able to beat. That's all that is relevant. I mean, if you look at, for example, a quant section, which has got simply additions, let's say there are about 100 questions to be solved in, let's say, 10 minutes, and all they ask questions about 3 plus 5, 7 plus 8, and so on and so forth, there is still somebody who's going to be a top and somebody who's going to be on the bottom. But what the test is, in terms of and the level of difficulty of the particular test, is not going to change this reality that somebody is definitely going to be on the top, somebody is definitely going to be on the bottom. The question that I have to ask as an individual, if I have taken this particular test, is that me, given my capabilities, uh, and could I have done a far better job than what I actually did in this particular test, right? That's the only thing that I can sort of answer. And what are the things that I probably will have to do so that I can beat more test takers or fellow test takers to reach whatever the target that I want to reach? For some of you, you're probably looking at very high percentiles, forget about percentile, at least score, because you're banking on VRC as a section to take your score forward. Maybe some of you are looking at, okay, let me just at least be around here. So my first objective is to sort of clear cutoffs, which means if you look at historically that particular position, it's maybe about 8 to 9 questions historically. It could be even mean 10 questions, at least in this particular case, 10 to 11 questions. But also, please do understand all these are scale score, right? Which means, for example, if I look at CAT 2024 at 27 marks, that's not like every single section needed only 9 questions to hit the 90th percentile. So it's about let's say let's say be about getting about net 10 questions correct. If you want to hit the sort of very high percentile historically, I mean, if you look at sort of the story, it can vary anywhere between something like getting about 13 questions correct to maybe about 15 questions. Imagine, for example, a 99th percentile in 2021. That's again a scale score, right? There were three slots, and obviously in some of the slot 45 as a raw score may not reflect the 99th percentile. In some slot, maybe about 42 as a raw score would have got this 99th percentile. So to understand this, the only thing that I can broadly think about is, let's say, we don't even know what CAT 2025 is thinking, or the test designers are thinking, or what kind of question they want to ask, what kind of passage they're going to take, what kind of sources they're going to take. The only thing that I know for a fact that I can do is based on whatever is my capability, whatever is my OCAT. Did I match that particular OCAT? What are the decisions that I made in this particular test? Okay, what are the things that I decided to leave, or what I decided to pick? What are the risks that I took? What are the risks I should not have taken? Okay, did I lose the concentration at some point in time that created problem to put me wherever I am? Did I come to this particular test carrying some sort of preconceived notion about what this section is for me, or what maybe even a CDC Pro VRC section is going to look like? Did I come from all these preconceived notions into the test? What impacted me? For example, is there anything that I have to actually improve in terms of my capabilities? Is there any capable improvement to get higher score, or should I have to be a better test taker? Those are the questions that I have to answer. And at the end of the day, this is the mocks are not a reflection of who you are, but a tool to get to the place that you want to be, right? So that sort of is the first thing that I want to say. Giving this, if I look at, for example, this particular test, right? There were a couple of things that was, what couple of the sources were books, and one was journal. And if you look at a lot of the sources, many of the journal happens, and if you ask me, it's absolutely painful to go through all these bloody books and journals and to go here and there to create this. I would rather pick up, let's say, one source and then create all these questions around the source. The only reason why all this kind of nonsense happens is because CAT does this. And if I look at sort of at least in the past, in terms of, there have been sources from journals and from book and from all sort of places with all sort of dense levels, all sort of topics. And obviously, one of the things that is important for you is that you should be able to in a position to handle whatever is the CAT is going to throw at you, right? So here sort of broadly was a paper. We have got all sort of questions. I want to kind of focus on this graph, based on the attempt versus accuracy. So at least for the first, I can see at least a lot of greens. At least each of the reading comprehension passages at least allowed me to sort of some question. There were some obviously which was kind of painful ones. That's something that I saw. When I look at the VA, it's not like at least most of the questions were at least in the terms of nearly close to about 50% accuracy. So it's not that it was it was at least very very accessible. But I want to start by talking about the reading comprehension, and I want to give you sort of one thing that I've noticed. For example, if I look at the in general attempt wise, okay, there are certain the passages where people thought that the favorite at least majority to attempt, and certain passages which were not. That largely probably has to do with how what the topic of the particular passage is. I mean, this was definitely second passage wasn't superstar talent, something that is very accessible. Then goes to a topic, anything with respect to any isms is usually something that people don't like. Let's talk about conservatism. This animal right passage has got too many layers in terms of views about psychotherapy. Then it goes into discussion about what the 19th century anti-vivictionists thought about. Then you went to feminist thought process, and then the utilitarian idea, then talk about humanitarianism, its relation with human rights, and more than humanitarianism. Too many layers for this, and the Darwin feminism is just about understanding Darwinism, and how feminism, the idea that feminism took from the Darwinism and for their own the specific purpose. Okay, so you had obviously those cases. One other thing that I noticed is within each of this paragraph, let's look at, for example, this particular one, attempt percentage is 72%. It kind of dropped here for these two questions to about 66%. And the last question, attempt return dog, it dropped to about 58 percentage, and that is noticed here. So these two are high attempt, these are the lowest attempt. For these, for example, this particular question had low attempt, this particular question low attempt, irrespective of whether the question is easy or no. So there are certain decisions that we are also making within the paper in terms of whether that question is easy or difficult. I don't know whether it's based on the question itself or based on the options. Doesn't seem to be the case. At least here, the option did not trouble. For this one, at least the accuracy level is almost about 61%, but people just decided not to attempt this one. So maybe it's about question or what the question challenged. So these are the things I want to talk in terms of reading comprehension. If I look at the preference, of course, the number one preference was a superstar talent passage. Number two was Darwinian feminism passage, and then comes the 3 and 4, which is animal right and conservatism. But if you look at the spread in terms of easy questions, it was spread relatively. I mean, you had just one here, two here, okay, and then about 2 questions here, 3 questions here. This had quite a lot of easy question, 24 marks worth. I don't know how many of you accessed all these 24 marks. Maybe if you diss this particular passage completely, you don't have access to those 3 questions. But nevertheless, whichever is a passage that you picked up, let's assume that the people picked up, let's say, these 3 passages to solve. Okay, you did have access to about 5 easy questions that is worth about 50 to 15 marks, and did have problem with respect to difficult, sort of painful one as well. Okay, which was about 5 of them, and then sort of medium one. So it's about 24 marks worth of 8 questions worth of the easy questions, assuming that you're able to get about 75% accuracy here in these 8 questions. If let's say that's about 16 marks, let's assume that you're able to get about the 50% accuracy, at least about 3 marks. And let's say again about 50% accuracy here, that's about 5 marks. Even if I look at something like 19, about 24 marks worth for the taking overall. I mean, it's still there. I think that itself will probably place you sort of very close to here. Okay, it was there. I mean, sure that it could have scored more than that. One thing that I want to focus here to give this idea in terms of this angle. Within a particular passage, there were certain low attempts. Okay, there were certain questions which was low attempt, and there are certain questions which are high attempt within a particular passage. And within that, we had certain questions that created problems. This was low accuracy ones. I'm just going to talk about medium accuracy. This one was about high accuracy. So I try to dig a little deeper and divided question into this sort of the simple category. One is details and recall. You can call it local question, or some people call it fact-based question. And all the questions that are asked about the global ones. which is the main idea questions. And then there is logic question. I've divided into two. This basic one is the ones that they've used to a lot, inferences, or maybe a specific purpose. Why did the author use a particular example? Or maybe a question which is about interpretation of a particular word or sentence. Okay. And then you have all this critical reasoning question: if true, weakens; if true, strengthens; assumptions, and those sort of critical evaluation. What is the role of a particular sort of paragraph in the context of the entire discussion? Things like those. Okay. And if I put this into this column in terms of this attempt wise, within a particular passage, there are certain questions that were attempted, the certain questions which are low attempt. Okay, within a particular passage, right? Again, for example, here this I would have created as high attempt, and these I would have created low attempts. This would have been high attempt in that particular passage, and this would have been low attempts. Okay, so that's sort of how that you want to interpret that there. And with respect to accuracy, high accuracy and low accuracy. Anything above 50%, I kind of kept it as high accuracy. Anything above 50, less than 50%, I kept it low accuracy. For example, if I probably look at this graph and look at this particular passage, here you had something which has got low attempt and low accuracy, low attempt but high accuracy, high attempt, high accuracy, high attempt, high accuracy. So that's how I'm going to decide within the particular passage for those students who decided to plunge on this. And look at, is there anything that I can look at the type of questions? How many can actually pick here? This was a story that I found out. In general, low attempts, in general, what I've seen is critical reasoning questions have in general been attempted low. Which means if there is a question which says which of the following if true weakens, which of the following assumptions, there is a tendency of not attempting those questions. I mean, that probably has got less to do with what the question is actually asking, but the worry about the type of questions. If true, strengthens; if true, weakens. There are about 4 of them, which had low accuracy also, and a couple of them which had high accuracy also. Right. So in general, question others are basically the low attempt is like some detail. I don't know, one particular question, one detail, and one basic logic. So majority of questions that people don't like to attempt are the question which is specifically based on the critical reasoning. Something that we have found a lot in the 2019 CAT, the last time when IMK created the paper. I'm not saying that they're going to do the same thing what they did in 2019, but these were the questions that I think that we should to consider. And it's not like these questions of critical reasoning, all of them very, very difficult or anything. It's just that we are kind of not used to solving or looking at these kind of questions a lot, right? We have not used to it. Probably that's the case. We didn't bother preparing on those questions. Maybe I don't know what the reason is, but that's the case. And the high attempt, you have got all the details, high attempt, high accuracy detail. Even there's a critical reasoning question that people did attempt. And then probably about when high attempt, the low accuracy is just one. Okay. So if you want to hit the high accuracy levels, okay, I think one of the things that comes out of it is that maybe one of the things that you want to think about in terms of doing is probably a bit of at least critical reasoning kind of questions. You could go back and look at your own material. I'm sure that whichever material that you have, I'm sure that the question that you did in the past, maybe a daily dose in lot many places, you'll find the passages where you have these critical reasoning type questions. So I think that's something that you probably want to figure out. Maybe in terms of identifying what an assumption is, how to evaluate an argument, how to identify what the author's position is, what are the premises the author is using, what could weaken the premise, the argument that is making, what could strengthen the argument the author is making. And those kind of questions is something that I believe that you guys should work on. I mean, that's something that at least I found. Okay. Back come to VA, the attempt wise, if you look at the attempt wise, I think it was good to see that there were high sort of attempt, at least in Odson as a paragraph jumble questions. And it was kind of a medium. If I look at verbal ability per se here, now just have a look at verbal ability here. It's almost, it's not even like it was it's very close to about, this was about 57% accuracy. A paragraph jumble question with close to about 50% accuracy. But this is about 40% accuracy. This is about 40%. This goes to about 45%. So it was you had issues here with respect to, at least in paragraph summary and sentence placement question, it was about 2 options. That sort of 2 blanks maybe create an option, and you still had issues. A few sort of, this is how do I sort of differentiate between 2 blanks? if you have a sentence placement question, I'm thinking maybe it can go to this blank or this blank. How do I figure this out? What is the process that I want to use to navigate these things? I think that's something that you probably would need to work on, maybe in the last mile of your preparation. And how do I manage? There is obviously this absolute crazy that happened when you had only 5% accuracy into the question. I know that you guys will have real trouble and issue. I've given my best in terms of explaining the logic of the answer, why that answer makes a lot of sense. In fact, it was this sort of one sort of crazy sort of question. But otherwise, it was all okay. This odd sentence question, I did not know why people did not pick it up. I actually thought that this was probably the easiest odd sentence question. Sometimes that's what you feel. No, if one odd sentence question is easiest, it was kind of, it's at least fair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 12 marks possible from here. At least probably about 24 marks possible from here. 36 was the possible. Uh, Possible, at least this was possible. It all depend upon how do you navigate sort of these problems. And if I look at this attempt wise, at least, I don't think that it has got to do with uh, it's for example, has it got to do with the kind of topic, the language of nature? This is a little, and at least it is dense as a topic, Western German mythology, but that doesn't sort of make sense. This was about education, uh, how to this blow a planet. This was actually, I don't know. I don't think that this editorial cartoon was more accessible. This about victims' burden was more accessible. I don't know whether the kind of topic that is given to you is making the decision in terms of low attempt, or is it issue with respect to what the options. My feeling is that the options here would have created a problem that many people would have decided to get out of this question. Remember, this is a question with 5% accuracy, and then there are certain this medium attempt from high to medium means clearly means that somebody is making a decision not to pick up the negative marking is worth like leaving the question, right? And here of course high is sort of is fine. So I think the verbal ability issue would mean, how do I for example create a process when I'm stuck with two options? What is it I need to do to figure out to make the best bet on this? Same with sentence placement question. What are the various ways in which I can actually pick up an odd sentence question, paragraph jumble? So a lot of us have basically made BRC into a bonus, right? Reading comprehension is what I'll do. VA is bonus. VARC, according to you, for many, this is our main thing. VA is a bonus. I think that is a very bad attitude. This is 8 question that is worth 2 RCs, right? There are 2 RCs. I think that please, if you have ignored any of these areas, I don't know. I think VA, at least, I don't know whether paragraph jumble is going to be there next year, or odds is going to be there, or any new type question they're going to ask. But at least at the core of it, everything is about evaluating paragraphs. Yeah. So working on one is definitely going to help you in working in others as well. But I think that knowing what we know about the cat, and the fact that there are about 8 questions, that the 8 questions that is there for ability, I seriously want you to consider. So if I want to take about if this were the cat, this is what the cat is going to be. I think that in the next one, your ability to handle critical reasoning question was tested here in this one. Ability to handle sort of at least passage of dense, which is something abstract, something that you have, no, dense you have already handled. I'm not about that. It's for about much more layered passages with too many ideas there. That was tested. uh, Differentiating between, for example, the first passage, Darwinism versus what Darwin thought, and the feminist relationship. So this one was tested here. The critical reasoning was tested, and when it comes to verbal ability, it was in terms of, it was a usual one, just that you had an opportunity to get the marks, but there are these traps that was there you could fall into. How you could navigate those traps that was set sort of at least in the questions and options, is something that was tested here, right? So hopefully you'll pick up some of these things, work on these things, and sort of come back and see if let's say if you see at least an improvement from here on. A lot of things can surely change, right? A lot of things can surely change, and as always, these mocks is there to give you a tool. That is very, very important to understand. I'll give you a tool, not a reflection of who you are, you're capable to anything. Just give you a tool to prepare to take on the challenge that the cat will throw at you. Back to you, Shivku.
Yeah, Shashank. I think that was a fairly exhaustive thing from Jijo. So we'll before we take the questions, we'll jump on to DI, right? Do DI and quant and then come back to questions. GP, while designing the DI, we wanted it to be a little easier than last pro, and we wanted to hit in 99.5 percentile, somewhere around 37, 38, so that it is similar to a cat, um, but not as easy as cat 22. So we wanted it to be somewhere in between the two. But it looks like it's misfired,
was
and for some strange reason, uh, I don't know, strange for me, but I think students are saying otherwise. Students seem to have found it fairly tough. So you have recorded it. What's your view on this?
Yeah, I have a very different opinion as compared to the students. Okay? And in fact, Subha Siddharth, if you remember, Siddharth called us and said that some of his students are saying the paper was tough. I asked him to do the DLI section himself. And in the evening, he called back. There were 3 sets which were doable comfortably. And especially if someone is good in quant, the time speed distance set was a 5-minute set. Okay? So when I was attempting the paper, or when I was recording the overview also, I started by saying that as far as this paper is concerned, it looks to me very, very close to CAT 24. Now, why did I say that? Because if we go set by set, the second set of data was an easy set. I know I've not seen the graph, so I don't know how people have done. But looking at the score, लगता है शायद लोगों ने किया नहीं होगा. Why am I saying second set was very easy? It was if you just understood one simple thing, which is inflows is equal to outflows plus storage. It was nothing but the successive increment or successive changes wala data set, and that set you could have been easily solved. If not in 7-8 minutes, at least in 10 to 12 minutes, you could have easily got all the questions right. If you look at the last set of data, okay, I'm not going to the time speed distance right now, though that to my mind was the first set that should have been attempted. If you look at the last set of data, it's a long story. It's a reading comprehension. But if you go through that reading comprehension, you can easily write down the story and you can identify कि B को जिन 3 बार मिला है, what is going to be the ratio of expenditure for each of these stretches. Okay, so that much was what. So to me, that these 2 sets were definitely doable. Now look at the time speed distance set. Even if you don't understand it fully, the first question should have been taken should have been done very, very easily, because it was saying that the third set was said. What was that first question? That A is याद है उसमें कितना था? A is doing how many rounds does A does? Okay, yeah. So A ka speed, it is doing 200 meters in 10 seconds. So it has a speed of 20 meters per second. Looking at the graph, you can clearly say the circumference has to be 400. Okay? So to me, that question was definitely the easier question. But assuming वो नहीं भी होता है, if you just do second set and the fifth set, which is the inflow outflow and the expenditure in different stretches wala set, there were 8 questions there, if not more. I don't remember 5 था कि 4 था, but 8 questions into 324. Okay. Similarly, if you look at the set which was about preference ranking and placement ranking, placement ranking was time consuming, but preference ranking, there were 2 questions. You could have easily done those 2 questions of preference ranking very, very fast. Okay. Yes, preference ranking a table banana padta ho jata wo. Okay. So where I'm confused is it that students are not reading the data carefully, or are they rushing through it? Because you need to spend time to understand the data, and if you are not doing that, you are definitely going to struggle in any paper. Forget about this paper. And one of the comments that I've been seeing throughout, people are saying PYQs, I find them easy, but these are difficult. Yes, PYQ you'll always find easy because you're not taking them like a test, and there's nothing at stake. So when you take any paper where there's something at stake, there's some pressure always. The same CAT paper which people say is difficult, the next year students say ye to aasan tha. If you look at CAT 22, CAT 23, CAT 21 students, they will say our paper was difficult, but the next year students say, "No, बहुत आसान papers है." Because when you're taking a paper, there's certain amount of pressure on yourself, and that is what match pressure is all about. Okay, so to me, that is the issue out here. That I'm not sure if students are rushing through the data sets or they are trying to do everything correctly. There's some process flaw which is definitely happening. And I'm sure that process flow is going to be different for different students, because going through the comments, I find it difficult to believe some of the students have got 0, 5, 2 marks in DILR. When, as I said, if nothing else, last set there was one question that what is the total profit for both the contractors combined? It has to be sum of 10 plus 20 plus 30 up to 100, uska 40%. That is 550 ka 40%. So how come that students are already are not able to pick out these questions? And that is why I think that we as an organization, I as an individual, are failing, because we are not able to get the students to do what would be the right process. I don't know if we need to do something more to make sure they follow the process and they pick up the right sets. Okay? Because to me, I agree with you, first set could be a little confusing to say the least. Okay? Placement ranking आसानी से, preference ranking आसानी से आएगी, placement ranking you could struggle. टाइम स्पीड डिस्टेंस चलो, उसे तुम्हें नहीं समझ आया ग्राफ छोड़ सकता हूं, बट
शशांक दूसरे सेट में जाओ,
nothing explains
second set.
But nothing explains to me why is it that second set of data and the fourth set for last set of data were missed out by students. नहीं, इसके ऊपर होगा ना, go before,
हाँ इसके ऊपर वाला
set number 2, this set number 3 which you are showing, यहाँ ये वाला. Now please look at this. हाँ यहाँ पे छोड़ दो. Okay. Now I don't know in this set, if you look at it throughout the given period, Shashank, can you just highlight these lines throughout the given period वाला जो था? नहीं, throughout नहीं, in 2018 इस लाइन के एंड में 2018 लिखा है. If you have been able to read this line 2018 onwards, यहीं पे throughout the given period, both the annual inflow and release of water were always positive. In 2018, the increase of dams water storage was equal to half the water released during the same year. That means if dam water storage was 100 units, release of water had to be 200 units, and the inflow of water had to be 300 units. And then you could work your way through it. In fact, इसमें just Shashank, just scroll down a little. Just scroll down to the next page. हाँ बस नहीं मेरे को टेबल चाहिए. हाँ, now let's look at it. Look at just हाँ बस इतना काफी है शशांक. Look at question 32. It is asking you the value of B 2020. Now please look at the numbers. If increase in water storage is 25%, release in water storage water is minus 25%. Both of these are minus 25%. Inflow भी तो minus 25% होगा. I don't know what is the accuracy level of these questions, but my point essentially is somewhere along the line people have not read the data, or they did not pick up this line, or they were skimming through the data and वो वाली line miss हो गई कि 2018 में storage is equal to half the release. Nothing else explains.
पढ़ा नहीं होगा.
हाँ शशांक, just scroll up a little, वो जो highlight किया था
वो जो last statement है वो पढ़ा नहीं होगा.
हाँ, to me that seems to be the case, and to me that is बस. Now look at this. शशांक, इसमें 2018 in 2018 ना वहां से एक हाईलाइट कर दो, पहले वाला हटा दो.
नीचे वाला हाँ, वो जहां पे तूने हाईलाइट किया उसी
हाँ उसमें 2018 से शुरू हो जाओ. हाँ, yeah, this is a part which is important. My guess is people skim through the data set, missed out this line, and hence it becomes a difficult thing. Because if I don't know the 2018 values, there's no way I can do anything about future. Secondly, if you scroll down a little, इसमें question एक और है, just scroll down, पूरा table दिखना चाहिए. हाँ बस. Question 33, if C is equal to 0, what does that mean? That tells me I will not be able to find the value of C in the normal course of events. And for this question, I have been given the value of C so that I can do it. If I can't find the value of C and E, I cannot proceed further. So my calculation भी आधी हो जाती है इसके हिसाब से. And it is only in question 33 that I need to take C as 0 to complete the whole thing. So to me, if students have missed out this set, it is a very, very big miss. This is the easiest set of this paper. And here I am not counting the time, speed, distance wala set, because I understand that some of the students are unlikely to be able to understand the graph or will not be able to handle the graph. Okay. Though this graph was easier than the graph which was given in CAT 24 slot 3 paper last year, the air conditioner wala graph. Okay. So to me, this is the issue which has to be.
लेकिन सर जो एक्चुअल डेटा है ना, उस डेटा में ये जो इस वाले सेट के जो अटेम्प्ट्स है ना, अटेम्प्ट्स बहुत लो हैं लेकिन एक्यूरेसी बहुत हाई है.
बट अटेम्प्ट्स लो मैं समझ नहीं पा रहा हूं.
नहीं शशांक, मेरे को एक्यूरेसी का इशू नहीं है शशांक. My problem is why is the attempt low? This should have been a set which should have 100% attempt. If you look at the set, first set of data, you need to do something there, na? You need to make cases. Okay, this set is a straightforward set. Third set, which is preference ranking, placement ranking, you need to work. You will have to do at least 2 tables, if not more, because हो सकता है placement में 2 table बन जाए, cases बन जाए. Set number 4, the time speed distance set, I can understand कि कुछ लोग को समझ नहीं आया होगा. Last set of data. This was the easiest set of data. And Shashank, what is the percentage attempt of this set? To me, ये चीज address करनी है हमको somehow. We need to get students to understand कि ये चीज, that process is sacrosanct. If you compromise on the process, the outcome is going to be not to your liking.
एंड इस वाले सेट में पहले क्वेश्चन पे 40% अटेम्प्ट है और बाकी सब में 25 से नीचे.
So not more than 40% of the students attempted that paper, na? That set, sorry.
Yes, और TSD वाले सेट में एक्यूरेसी हाई है लेकिन
TSG को छोड़ दो. Shashank, just forget about TSG. TSG and this set, the accuracy has to be high because there's hardly any work to be done in these 2 sets of data. The challenge with TSG is some people will not be able to understand how to read that graph or what to do with the graph. वो मैं समझ सकता हूँ, and उसकी मेरे को, especially people who are good, not good in quant. I'm shocked to see some of the students getting 40, 45, 35 in quant, and ये TSG वाला set नहीं होगा. So to me, there's something which is missing out there, and इस set में मेरे ख्याल से खाली एक ही issue हुआ है that people did not read that particular line carefully, and hence or they read it incorrectly. कहीं release of water को storage का half तो नहीं ले लिया. Instead of 200, 150, have they taken 250 and sorry, whatever that number was, 150, 150 को 150, 50 and 100 तो नहीं कर दिया. So some mistake has happened here, and that to me that's a criminal mistake whatever has happened in the set, because this was the easiest set of this paper. A की value बहुत जल्दी आ जाएगी. Shashank, if you take inflow of water is 200, release of water is inflow of water is 300.
सर इसमें लिखने का
don't worry. If you take inflow of water as 300, release of water is 200, and increment of storage as 200 as 100, 300, 200, 100. A की वैल्यू नहीं निकल जाएगी क्या? Release of water becomes 15% more, increase becomes 30% more. A की वैल्यू आ गई. B की वैल्यू निकालनी नहीं है, B तो वैसे ही -25% होगा. उसके बाद मेरे को बचता ही क्या है? Now look at question number 33. A is 25, A I think was 20, B is -25, 21 का 20% है, C को 0 दे दिया. मेरे को 25, 20, 20 -25 का मेरे को सक्सेसिव इंक्रीमेंट ही तो लेना है. फ्रैक्शन ले लो या सक्सेसिव इंक्रीमेंट फॉर्मूला लगाओ, हो जाएगा. Okay, so to me this is the issue which I have a little confusion with.
So अगर आप
the other thing which Himanshu is saying, I think that is another thing which I want to again highlight. यार मैं बहुत बार बोल चुका हूँ, please don't do algebra. XYZ क्यों बेकार में लगा लेते हो यार? नंबर से काम जब चल जाता है ना, we should not be going for algebra at all. Don't get variables unnecessarily into the picture when you can work with the numbers. Because in this particular set, whether you take 100 to 300, 200, 100, 600, 400, 200, 1200, 600, 400, or 800, 400, whatever numbers you take, ratios तो वही रहेंगे. The entire set is percentages. Answer choices में भी percentages ही हैं. So why am I worried about taking a variable is the question I have. Okay, so just be a little careful about these minor issues. Okay? In fact, जब मैंने record किया है overview, and I remember distinctly saying ये पेपर में minimum 3 सेट होने चाहिए हैं. ठीक है, यहाँ पे तो 3 सेट लगता है टॉपर ने भी नहीं किया.
टॉपर ने 3 ही दिए,
ठीक है.
3
I'm
sets.
saying the highest score seems, the 99.5 seems to be 31 marks, which is why I said maybe उससे नहीं होगा. Okay. So to me that is what is the critical part out here. Okay. So Shashank, if you go to the next set एक बार, I want to address that issue also. Look at this preference rating वाला, खाली इधर ही वाला. Okay. This is for preference rating. This is with respect to the previous year 2021. Now, Shashank, can you highlight the C wala A, D, C and the C wale ko ek baar highlight kar de? This one, this row completely. Now, please look at it. The ranking can be only from 1 to 5, right? And from 21 to 22, C ki ranking 2 se giri. 22 to 23, 1 se giri. 23 to 24 went down by another one. It has lost 4 ranks from 21 to 24. On a ranking of 1 to 5, the only possibility is 1 to 5. 21 has to be rank 1, 22 has to be rank 3, 23 has to be rank 4, 24 has to be rank 5. Okay. So similarly, you can look at the others also. दूसरी चीज, I don't know if people realized it, but the sum of changes will always be equal to 0. 2022 में जो DM का cell missing है, that has to be +1. Because if someone goes from 2 to 3, someone will come from 3 to 2 also, na? The sum of ranks is same. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, 5 अगर fixed है, the sum of changes will be also 0, ना? Because it's a zero sum game. एक बढ़ेगा तो दूसरा कम भी तो होगा. I cannot move from rank 2 to 4 without the rank 4 moving from 4 to somewhere else. So the other thing which was there in this table, which I thought was very, very obvious, that the sum of sum of the changes in rank has to be 0. C was a very good starting point. And इसमें question पे जाओगे अगर शशांक, just go to the questions. Yeah, look at question number. Look at question 34 and 35. They are talking about preference rank, and that table is about preference rank changes. Okay, 36 about placement ranking, 38 is about placement ranking, 37 about preference and placement. In the worst case, यार दो सवाल preference rank के क्यों नहीं करे? We could have that data was given. Ranking change is easy to work with, but when you have to make cases and do it, that becomes difficult. But ranking change wala data to me was a very, very easy and straightforward data. My expectation was is paper ke liye that you should be able to do set number 2, all 4 questions. The last set 4 questions, 8. In this set you should do at least 2 questions, 34, 35, 10. In the time speed distance graph, you should do the first question definitely 11. To me, 11 was the optimum attempt for this particular set. Okay, so ये वाला मेरे हिसाब से होना चाहिए था, but obviously my analysis of the paper at that point of time seemed to be very, very incorrect. Okay, and again, and I know some students do Sudoku regularly. Okay, the moment you went into the placement ranking वाला data, वो Sudoku खेलना था. यार आदव एक बात बताओ यार, I have just explained the sets to you. Please tell me the set number 2 look difficult to you. I don't know Adav what is your score in quant, but if your score in quant is 30 plus, or you understand time speed distance, then time speed distance was a 5-minute set. Possibly जिसको quant समझ आती है, जिसका time speed distance ठीक है, जिसको graph समझ आता है, that was the easiest set. That was a set when I was attempting the paper, I attempted that set first करते करते ही. So I'm saying somewhere this is missing out इसके अंदर. Okay. So एक बार, can you go to the last set also, Shashank? Adav, I'm waiting for an answer. Yeah. Please tell me, was set 2 and 4 difficult?
Arav, by the way, quant of this is much easier than the cat quant.
Now look at this set. यहाँ पे problem कहाँ थी? You have to go through it. ये reading comprehension का passage समझ के तो नहीं कि हुआ ऐसा. Okay. And here the critical line was again the last 2 lines. During the project, contractor B received 1 lakh from contractor A after completion of 2nd, 3rd and 5th stretches only. That means at the completion of every other stretch, contractor A has received 1 lakh compensation. Incentives rather. Okay. What does this mean? expenditure for or profit for stretch 2 or for the stretch 2 has to be more than profit for stretch 3. Profit for stretch 2 has to be greater than that of stretch 1. Profit for stretch 4 has to be greater than that of, sorry, less than that of stretch 3. Profit for stretch 4 has to be greater than that of stretch 5. Look at the solution. I have recorded the solution and given it, but and वो I hope update हो, अब तक upload हो गया होगा. But to me यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा challenge है. If you are not willing, and इसमें एक और चीज देखोगे. Shashank, just scroll down a little. Look at the last two questions of this set. Yeah. Look at the data. Question 43 is basically checking किया तुम्हें data समझ आ गया कि नहीं आ गया, तुमने वो कर लिया कि नहीं. Question 44 तो बिना कुछ करे होना चाहिए ना. Each of these stretch the cost is 10, 20, 30, 40 up to 100. The summation will be 550 and profit is nothing but 40% of it. So answer has to be 40% of 550, which is 220. Question एक बार question 45 and 46 देखो. The base component is the same. If you can do question 45, 46 भी होगा and vice versa. All you needed to do was again make those cases. Are you not willing to make a case? If you think कि मेरा case बिना बिना हो जाएगा, नहीं CAT में नहीं होता ऐसा. You will have at least one set, maybe two sets where you will have to make those cases.
So now the thing is, when people are saying that QA is difficult, then I would say that just look at the data.
Yeah, एक मिनट यार. Let me just address this also. Okay. यार तुमको एक चीज याद रखनी है. Okay. It is very easy for you to comment there कि हम बच्चे हैं, हमें समझ नहीं आता. भैया तुम बच्चे हो, जो भी हो, तुम्हें यही पेपर देना होगा. Okay. And if you say this paper is difficult, then I'm sorry, you're not well prepared at all. I was the first one to say last time का DILR was difficult. Okay. I was the first one to say last time का DILR was difficult. It was closer to CAT 22, 23, where doing 2 sets would have been sufficient. Okay. Then you were not there. Then it was fine with you. Okay. So तुमको मजाक लगता है तो मजाक लगता है, वो तुम्हारा issue है. Please get down to working and please follow the process. If you are saying set number 2 and set number 5 is difficult, then I'm sorry. I'm extremely sorry. You are unlikely to do well in this paper. Okay. So look at your preparation before just hiding behind a strange name and just commenting on something. Okay. I again request all of you to go through the sets with a cool and calm mind. Problem एक चीज हमेशा पेपर में आती है when I'm taking a paper. Supposing यही mock was a flexi mock, not a pro mock, you would have found it easy. Okay? Our behavior changes based on the situation. When there's something at stake, our behavior changes. So please start reading the data set carefully. Okay.
So अगर हम लोग QA का देखें, so QA तो I think it has been extremely easy. So if you look at the data, 99.5 is 47, 99 at 42. इतना आसान तो कभी CAT भी नहीं आया है जितना इस मॉक पे स्कोर आया है.
नहीं आया है. CAT 16, CAT 14, CAT 18, CAT 18 था क्या था? हाँ, CAT 18 था if I remember correctly. Okay. But ठीक है. Similar scores. But yes, if you look at the last 4-5 years, this was probably it is easier than each of them.
So this was the scene, and if you look at the data, this is the data. हरियाली बहुत दिख रही है इस mock में. So if you see, there are a lot of questions that has been easier. So students have scored reasonably well in this particular mock in QA. So let's see questions and analyze कि क्या है.
So while Shashank is pulling it out, एक उत्सव वाला क्वेश्चन ना जीपी, सेक्शनल में तो ज्यादा आ रहे हैं but not in the mocks. Sir, what to do? Utsav, this is a common thing. I mean, this is something that we hear every year, right? And वो आपके जो sectionals भी पिछले साल के mocks थे या उससे पहले वाले साल के mocks थे, right? So it is not as if they are easy. It is just that you're doing 3 40-minute sessions, one behind the other. that could be one reason. Second reason is I think the stakes are low. GP, you want to add something?
No, to me, it is exactly what you're saying. There are no stakes involved when you're taking a test at home. You only will know your scores. You will not be compared to others. So you tend to be a little more relaxed. देखो किसी भी पेपर में ना, it is extremely important to be relaxed, which means you don't, यार कैच का भाव बढ़ा देते हैं लोग कि यार ये नहीं हुआ तो मेरी जिंदगी बर्बाद हो जाएगी, आई विल नॉट गेट अ गुड कॉलेज, आई विल बी लेफ्ट somewhere down the road in terms of my career, डूब जाऊंगा मैं. You put that pressure on yourself. You have to tell yourself it's another paper, and my job is just to go through each and every data set, each and every question, each and every passage carefully, and based on my understanding, after careful reading, either I should leave the question or attempt. If you keep it simple, you will not have a problem.
So अच्छा, सेक्शनल का तो वही आर्यन शिपू सर हैज ऑलरेडी मेंशन कि सेक्शनल जब देते हैं तो सेक्शनल में वो होता है कि मतलब यू आर राइटिंग ऑन वन सेक्शन.
I think this is important, इसमें, and I'm sure there will be other students like Ria also. Ria, the first thing is, if you last paper you were able to solve 4 set, that was a very good attempt. What that tells you is that your fundas, your concepts, your ability to handle DILR is very good. Okay? Now what you need to ask yourself is बार क्या गलती की? For example, we talked about that set of the inflow outflow. Did you misread? Did you misread that one line, or did you miss that line completely? That set of time speed distance. Were you able to understand the graph or not? And if yes, great. If no, why not? Simply look at the last set of data. And ki wahan pe, were you willing to make those cases, or did you get bored reading the passage? Okay. And similarly for the first one, ki placement preference ranking, were you able to pick out kiya do sawal preference ke hain, isliye ye table lagega, so it should be easier. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so just try to identify where did you go wrong as far as this particular paper is concerned. But the good thing is, last paper, which was a much more difficult paper, you're able to do 4 sets. That puts you on a very strong footing. Ki funda clear hai, conceptually you are sound. Okay. Yeah, continue, Shashank.
हाँ, so now let's start with QA. QA में तो I think everything seems easy. So Avinash, that we do, I think before every mock, I think there are a lot of sessions where we don't discuss questions, we talk to students, so don't worry about it. But I don't think it is the time for that yet. उसके लिए 10-15 दिन पहले, 20 दिन पहले, we are going to start those kind of sessions. I think the variety of DILR sets we covered, so that whenever you are writing the actual CAT, you won't feel that something is different, because तुम 2 consecutive mocks को उठा के देखो, 2 consecutive CATs को उठा के देखोगे, तुम्हें similarity नहीं दिखेगी, type of sets अलग हैं. So basically इस mock में I might feel कि स्कोर कम होने का रीजन ये भी हो सकता है कि सेट्स अनफैमिलियर हैं, लेकिन अगर एक्चुअल कैट में सेट्स अनफैमिलियर होंगे तो क्या करोगे? सो इट इज, आई थिंक इट इज द मोर और लेस सेम थिंग, राइट? सो दैट्स इट फ्रॉम माय एंड. जीपी सर, यू वांट टू ऐड ऑन समथिंग?
नहीं, आई थिंक दैट्स फाइन.
क्वांट का कर लेता है.
क्वांट का कर लेता है. सो जस्ट गिव मी अ मोमेंट.
क्वांट का आई थिंक पुट, अच्छा ठीक है.
पहला वाला क्वेश्चन
ठीक है. This obviously should not be a problem. Okay, a to power 5 is equal to 1. So if you just take out a to power 5 from anyone, or even now it is nothing but a geometric progression with first term as a to power 15 and common ratio as a. So sum of how many 2011 terms आ जाएगा ना? So you just need to do sum of 2011 terms of geometric progression and then put a to power 5 to power n equal to 1. Yeah. Question 48 is a question which came, if I remember correctly, CAT 23 में था ना शायद, this kind of a question. Okay.
हाँ, so इसमें actually I use one concept कि जिस रेशियो में वर्टेक्स से बेस को ज्वाइन करोगे, सो जिस रेशियो में बेस डिवाइड होता है उसी में एरिया डिवाइड होता है, उससे सीधे आंसर आ गया इसका।
ये तो हो जाना चाहिए था।
हाँ, क्वेश्चन नंबर 49 आई थिंक वाज एक्स को मैक्सिमाइज
क्वेश्चन
करेंगे।
49 में एरर्स हुए होंगे. My guess is this is a question which would have induced errors, and because students might have missed out that x, y, z are distinct positive integers. Okay, especially I think I don't remember maxima या minima किसी एक केस में distinct के लिए y has to be lesser than z. Yeah, y has to be more than z. Sorry.
मिनिमा के लिए
हाँ, one of the two cases there is a confusion happens. If you look at the minima as such, फिर 85 2 and कुछ 85 2 yeah 85 2 and yeah 2 and 2. So 85 2 2 is a long case because y and z have to be different. So you have to go to the next case. I think यहाँ पे गलती हुई होगी. 50 should have been fine because 36. If you do 12 into 3 days, it is 36. Otherwise, it is 20 plus 6 plus 6.
जीपी
And
काफी
so
सारे
यहाँ पे कईयों ने हाँ sorry
2400 मार्क किया होगा बहुत सारे
हाँ मैं वही बोलने आता I'm sure many people would have marked 2400 straight away, but इस choice में ही hint थी 2408 जब सामने दिया हुआ उसको तो एक बार देख लेना चाहिए था कि 199 days you do this 12 and the last day you do 20. 51 should not have been a problem. 52 I'm sure many people would have left. 52 53 because many students are not comfortable with escalators, hence it is not that many people would have attempted.
53 तो
हाँ
53 तो स्टैंडर्ड क्वेश्चन है, a पावर b इज इक्वल टू 1 इस टाइप के तो बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन आ चुके हैं, लेकिन ये पहला क्वेश्चन है जिसमें जो पावर है वो न्यूमरेटर अपॉन डिनोमिनेटर के फॉर्म में है।
हाँ इसको ना मेरा एक ही इशू है, दिस कैन बी अ लेंथी क्वेश्चन, सो व्हिच इज व्हाई आई वुड नॉर्मली कीप दिस क्वेश्चन फॉर लेटर. So the way I would look at it is most students should be leaving 52 and 53 को बाद में टाइम मिलेगा तो अटेम्प्ट करना चाहिए. Question 54 should be easy. There is a question again where you can just apply successive increments. You can apply ratios because 6 cakes for the price of 5. You will pay for 5 cupcakes and you will sell it for price of 6. 20% profit यहाँ पे आ गया है. Then when you are buying 3 packets, you get 1 extra packet free. That's another 33% profit. These are 2 successive changes of 33% and 20%. Answer will be 60%. नहीं तो एक simple काम करो, assume each cupcake to be 1 rupee list price and calculate accordingly.
क्वेश्चन नंबर 55 ये तो गजब मीडियन का क्वेश्चन है, मीन इक्वल टू मीडियन करना था एंड दैट्स इट.
दो इसमें 2-3 केस बनते हैं बट दे गेट एलिमिनेटेड फेयरली फास्ट.
हाँ
Because depending upon where do you place n, n could be less than 12, it could be more than 33. Okay, so whatever it is. So there are 3 possibilities. Median could be 16, 17 or 18 depending upon where you put n.
दिस वन ये तो बहुत आसान था.
इसमें सबसे अच्छी चीज पता है क्या थी? DC is equal to 8 and there's only one choice which is a multiple of 8.
40 हाँ
ठीक है. It is very unlikely कि the height will be 38, 3.125, 3.7. बहुत बहुत unlikely है. 57 my guess is कि लोगों ने गलती की होगी इसमें. आता सबको होगा. Everyone would have been able to pick out कि y can be only 50 or 51. And then when finding x square plus y square की वैल्यू आ जाती है, number of cases 94 शायद कईयों ने मार्क किया होगा. डबल काउंटिंग हुई होगी इसमें कहीं पे या मिस हुआ होगा. दिस इज अ क्वेश्चन जिसमें गलती का चांस हमेशा होता है.
हाँ जहाँ पे भी 2 कॉन्जिक्यूटिव है वो हमेशा चेक कर लेनी चाहिए.
Yes, you have to be a little careful. If you get 94, just verify. 93, verify again. These are the kind of. Sorry.
एक्चुअली मुझे लग रहा है लोगों ने इसमें x को भी इंटीजर ले लिया होगा. इसके अटेम्प्ट भी बहुत कम है और गलत भी बहुत लोगों का है. x इंटीजर
रियल नंबर लिखा है ना.
हाँ लेकिन लोगों ने ले लिया होगा.
हाँ अगर ये राइट अगर इंटीजर ले लिया है फिर तो कोई भी चॉइस फिट नहीं बैठेगी. फिर तो बहुत बड़ी चॉइसेस हो गई हैं. All the choices are very big then.
हाँ, तो मुझे लग रहा है गलती वही हुई है।
Quite possible.
अगला क्वेश्चन
ठीक
नंबर
है,
50।
this should be very very simple ना. 72
हाँ,
1:2:3 है, so 48 will be क्या कहते हैं 1:4:9.
अगला क्वेश्चन, इसमें
सिंपल
59 में
रिप्लेसमेंट वाला. हाँ सॉरी,
एलिगेशन लगा के सीधे आंसर लगा ले सकते हैं।
नहीं मैंने एलिगेशन भी नहीं लगाया. See, the way I look at it is milk is 62.5%. Supposing you remove 20% of the mixture, milk will be 80% of 62.5%, na?
हाँ,
Right? So,
हाँ,
if I'm removing X% of the mixture, milk will be 62.5% of 100 minus X%. That should be equal to 45 at one extreme, equal to 25 at the other extreme. और इसमें अगर तुम अपर लिमिट निकालते हो तो पहले ही आंसर आ जाता है.
So when I was solving this question, मैंने इसमें 62.5 और उसमें पानी मिलाया है तो 0 और 45 डाल दिया है कि
हाँ,
फाइनल
वो ठीक
सोल्यूशन
है.
है, उससे सीधे सीधे 60% आ गया, एक ही आंसर
Right.
मैच कर रहा है। क्वेश्चन नंबर 60।
60 is a very simple. I hope लोगों ने जुगाड़ लगा लिया इसमें.
n equal to 1।
If you are starting from m plus 1 going up to m plus n, it is equal to 729 into 4 to power n minus 1. अब शशांक एक काम करो, m plus 2 से आगे सबको गायब कर दो. So what is n for me? N for me is only 1. ठीक है, हाँ, इसको हटा दो, ये है ही नहीं मेरे लिए. So if it is going up to m plus n, the power is 4 to power n. If it is going up to 4m plus 1, it should be 4 to power 1. That means f of m plus 1 is equal to 3 to power 7. Now f1 is 3, f2 is 3 square, f3 is 3 cube. So 3 to power 7 should be f7, m should be 6. ये स्टैंडर्ड जुगाड़ वाले सवाल में हमेशा बोलता हूं, जहां पे n दिखेगा n को वैल्यू डालनी है हमें. So if you just put this, treat it like that, the general case is given, I need to check a specific case. It is for general case means n के टर्म में दिया हुआ है. Specific case means मैंने n को 1 डाल दिया. And I forgotten about everything else.
अगला क्वेश्चन नंबर 61, आई थिंक क्वेश्चन नंबर 61 में
Yes, ये easy है, but I am sure many people would have missed out इसको, because फंडा कई बार लोग भूल जाते हैं. At the lowest level, if A, B, and C are 10% each, the total it becomes 33.1% growth. Or the volume will become, this is 1.1 cube or 3 successive increments of 10%. If it is 20% each, it will become 72.8%. So the values of increase in volume, if it has to be integral, can only be 34, 35, 36 up to 72. ये सवाल मेरे ख्याल से बहुत लोगों ने मिस किया होगा. This is a question which is worth revising because इस तरह के सवाल कैट में काफी आ चुके हैं पहले भी.
और इसमें मुझे लग रहा है लोगों ने ये भी गलती की होगी कि एबीसी इंटीजर है, क्योंकि इसका अटेम्प्ट बहुत कम है. एक्यूरेसी ठीक ठाक सी है, लोगों ने एबीसी को भी इंटीजर ले लिया होगा जो क्वेश्चन में कहीं नहीं गिवन है.
हाँ, मिनिमम एंड मैक्सिमम के बीच में करना है इसको. 62 में एक और चीज है. इफ यू लुक एट द क्वेश्चन 62, m is equal to 2 तो गिवन है. लुक एट द चॉइसेस. m and a निकालना है, हर एक में m equal to 2 है. ठीक है, सो मेरा एक छोटा सा काम हो जाता है. दो आई स्टिल नीड टू सॉल्व, बट दिस इज अ क्वेश्चन ऑफ लॉग. If you are not comfortable log and want to leave it, perfectly fine. But it is, look at log of 1 plus log of 2 square plus log of 3 square plus log of 4 square up to log of 10 square. Okay, so look at the solution. This is a good question, especially if you are comfortable with logs. This is a question which should definitely be attempted. If you don't understand logs, comfort नहीं है तो obviously छोड़ सकते हो.
लेकिन sir, do you know what did I do? So first number is 1 square, second number is 2 square, third number is log of 3 square. So basically log में 2 कॉमन आ जाएगा सब में, एंड सेकंड वाली वैल्यू जो माइनस हो रही है उसमें भी 2 बाहर है.
हाँ, वो बाहर कट जाएगा.
वो ओवरऑल कॉमन हो जाएगा. तो इसका मतलब सारी वैल्यूज 2 का मल्टीपल होनी चाहिए. पहला ऑप्शन ही हो सकता है.
दैट इज वेरी गुड. ये नहीं मेरे को स्ट्राइक किया.
क्वेश्चन नंबर 63. ये तो
It would be a standard question. I don't think it should be an issue as such. As long as you know the formula of volume of cylinder and दूसरा वाला का, it should be okay. 64 तो मैंने देखते ही छोड़ दिया. बहुत अच्छा सवाल है, not worth attempting at least.
क्वेश्चन नंबर 65. क्वेश्चन नंबर 65 हर महीने में एडिशनल डे आ रहे हैं, उसमें 31 डेज ही ले रहे हैं, तो इवेंचुअली ऐड करते चले जाओ मैनुअली, 2-2.5 मिनट में हो जाएगा आराम से. क्वेश्चन नंबर 65 में तो कोई इशू है नहीं. क्वेश्चन नंबर 66, इसमें बस लीनियर इक्वेशन बना लो तो तुम्हें 66 में ये दिख जाएगा कि y जो है वो 7 का मल्टीपल होनी चाहिए, और एक ही ऑप्शन है जो 7 का मल्टीपल है, दैट्स 20. दैट्स इट. And question number 67, 3 is 4 minus 1, 4 is 5 minus 1, 5 is...
नहीं यार, infinite series है ना. First choice is 32%, second choice is 16.66%, third choice is 25%, fourth choice is 20%. Choices are far apart. First becomes 3 upon 4 factorial is 1 by 20, 1 by 8 आता है शायद, आता है याद है.
1 by 8 आता है.
1 by 8 आता है ना, 12.5%. Second is 4 by 5 factorial, कितना आया था? 1 by
30, 3.33.
1 by 3.33%. Similarly, look at the other one. That comes out to be 0.66, 0.67%.
0.01%.
1 by 60 answer हो सकता है. The sum of the first 3-4 terms is coming out to be around 16.5%.
Now the last one. Last one.
Yeah, there are 10 teams. Each will play every other team. The number of matches is going to be 10c2. In each match, there can be 3 points maximum. If there's a tie, there will be 2 points. So every tied match will lead to loss of 1 point. So there are 45 matches. There should be, if there's no tie, there should be 135 points. There are 119 points. So that means 135 minus 16. 135 minus 19, 16 matches में time हुआ है because you have lost 16 points. ठीक है. So to me this was an easy paper. I was expecting when DILR people will be able to get 30 plus quite a few. गलत था मेरा estimate इसके अंदर.
लेकिन QA में sir data is also supporting the same thing कि पेपर आसान था.
Shashank, show the data.
Just give me a moment.
The data very clearly says, I think this is at least 3 questions or 2 questions easier than last cap.
नहीं, इसमें कोई doubt नहीं था मेरे को. इसमें because there's so look at this paper. Which are the questions which are bottleneck? जो bottleneck वाले सवाल है वो देखते ही छोड़ने वाले हैं. वो ऐसे नहीं है जिसमें you will spend time and say okay maybe I should leave it.
And somebody was saying CAT 2024 paper was easier than this. I don't think it was easier than this. And this is when you know CAT 2024 का quant का paper wasn't quant का paper में 10-12 क्वेश्चन से ज्यादा अटेम्प्ट करने का डिफिकल्ट था लास्ट टाइम.
Yeah, absolutely.
तो ये पेपर should not be. I mean, if you are thinking this is a tough paper, then I don't think CAT will be as easy as you think it would be.
Yeah. This is by no stretch of imagination a tough paper, and the data also suggests.
ठीक है, so let's pick up some questions.
मेरा offer है सब students के लिए. ठीक है. Guys, all those of you are struggling with DILR, feel free to call me. I'm sharing my number with you. I'll just type in my number. Okay.
जीबी टाइम भी दे देना. He will not sleep tonight.
नहीं आज मत करना because अभी इसके बाद मेरी एक क्लास भी है. ठीक है. Guys, I've shared my phone number. From tomorrow, start calling me whenever you have time. If I don't pick up your call, please drop a message. I'll call back because I might be tied up at that point of time. Okay. So call me. Let us discuss what is the issue that each one of you is facing as far as quant or DILR is concerned. Verbal का अलग से बात करेंगे. Okay. But please look at this DILR paper again. I disagree with all those of you say मुश्किल था. बिल्कुल नहीं था यार. शांत मन से एक बार फिर से उठा के देखो. Some of you are saying set 5 was difficult. No, it was not. Just go through the data first. Just do that set yourself first. And my guess is that for most of you, it is that pressure of performance at that point of time, which is what is making you, let's say, follow the long process. That's all. और कुछ नहीं है इसके अंदर. Okay? So my number is there. Call me tomorrow, day after, whenever you have time. As I said, if I pick it up, great. If I don't, just share the number with, just drop me a message on WhatsApp. I'll call back whenever I'm free. Okay. प्रशांत गलती से मेरे से वो हट गया तुम्हारा वाला जो तुमने डाला था. Which one was that?
अच्छा मैंने डाला था ये इसका था. 1 second.
शिव को तब तक मैं ये ले लेता हूँ क्वेश्चन. Why do you think CAT percentiles are identical to mock percentile? Many people who take CAT don't even take mocks. Okay, then the first thing you need to remember that if you look at CAT paper and you just put a score of 0, 0, 0, you'll still be about 20-25 percentile in CAT. Okay, if you leave the paper blank, you'll still end up being around 20-25 percentile. What that tells you is majority of the students are not serious about it, and only the serious ones end up taking mocks, whether CDCs or other mocks. It is only the serious course. Another way to look at it, in this paper, a 90 percentile is at a score of something like 30% marks. Okay? Marks is typically 90 percentile and usually lower than that, which again tells you this is a competition. 30% marks kitna hua is paper mein? 60 marks, okay, which is 20 questions, which again tells you that only 10% of the population is somewhat serious about the whole thing. So don't get bothered about how many take the paper, whether they are taking mocks or not. This is a competition of serious candidates, and the serious candidates end up taking mocks. And yes, by and large, the scores, the percentiles which the mocks indicate, your actual percentile is likely to be higher than that. Why am I saying likely? Because many times under the actual paper pressure, some students tend to not do well. And some students really flower under pressure and actual paper में ज़्यादा अच्छा कर लेते हैं. But by and large, your mock percentile will be slightly higher than what the percentile as per the past will be higher than that what you get regularly in terms of the mocks.
Okay, one more addition to that is then if there is something called a central limit theorem in statistics. Beyond a population of about 60 to 80, let's say, right? The way the distribution of scores behave, it doesn't change much. So there might be minor changes, plus or minus 2-3 percentile here or there, but it doesn't change much as far as the percentiles is concerned, scores and percentiles. So that's the, I mean, if you believe in statistics as a mathematical tool, that is the fundamental basis on which a lot of statistical analysis is done. So central limit theorem holds true. Whether it is 500 people taking the test or 5,000 people taking the test, after 500, it doesn't move much.
And actually, this is something we observe on a regular basis. Day 1 के बाद जो percentile होता है, day 2, day 3 में भी वही percentile दिखते हैं हमें.
Shift नहीं होता है.
हाँ. Okay. And again, some of you are asking questions to me directly. I will not be able to take care of your question at this point of time. Okay. So which is why I shared my number with you. यार कल आराम से कॉल करो ना. आज शाम को मेरी सेशन है 9:30 से, आज नहीं बात कर पाऊंगा. कल मुझे शांतिपूर्वक कॉल करो. Tomorrow, day after, call me anytime. I'll let do a specific thing for you by understanding तुम लोग का गैप कहाँ पे आ रहा है. Okay. चलो. Okay.
अच्छा ये वाला क्वेश्चन जो I think I just want to pick it up for every one of you. I think this is a very, very relevant point. Aryan is saying that he started working out or using A5 page sheets for doing his mocks. I think each one of you must actually do this because that's the size of the worksheet that you get. So especially for DI, quant में ये फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Especially for DI, it makes a massive difference. So Aryan, either you have to miniaturize your handwriting or you'll have to figure out a better, smarter way. Maybe you can spread it out and do the sheets so that you take a A4 sheet as the way to represent your data, right? For example, you kind of open out 2 sheets and see if you can work that way. I think you'll have to figure out how to do DI with A5 sheets. I think it's a big ask, definitely.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Yeah, this is the right
Harshit
way.
is.
Yeah, चल कोई बात
Harshit has been asking this question for a long time.
हाँ yeah, हर्षित कॉल कर लेना यार मुझे तुमको नंबर दे दिया तुम पब्लिक में पूछ रहे हो we will only be able to give you some general answers which will not going to take care of your specific issues. Okay? Because to be able to answer this, I will need or any faculty will need another. I need to ask you another 2-3 questions. Okay? ठीक है? ठीक है.
So,
ठीक है, I
ठीक है.
think I also
So
have a session.
I'll log out because I have a class abhi, so I'll just log out.
Yeah, even I have a
even
session.
so,
So guys, we will have a session specifically to handle your doubts maybe sometime later. But meanwhile, um, go back, look at the analysis, make sure that you do a thorough analysis of the sheets, right? And I mean, you may disagree with us or agree with us. That's obviously left to you. Anything, our attempt, at least when I and Shashank, we sit to design the sheets or papers, GP sir only, somebody asks, GP sir banate hain, GP sir nahi banate hain. GP sir test lete hain, right? So he is the first person giving us feedback on what the paper is. So while we are doing design, we are all consciously thinking paper आसान करनी है, right? DI, right? Or difficult karni hai, that discussion definitely happens, right? But we believe that the paper will be somewhere between 23 and 24. It will not be as easy as 24. If it is as easy as 24, I would be the happiest guy because I think that will mean a great amount of relief to all the students. But I don't want to bet and say it's going to be 2024 sheet. So what we do while designing is to kind of make sure that there's a sprinkling of slightly more tougher, more thinking kind of question, but we are all consciously thinking that what is the way to try new kinds of data sets so that students learn. It's not that we try not repeating what we did in the earlier things, right? We try, right? But somewhere I think हम लोग आज ही डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि शायद कुछ आसान करना पड़ेगा. We'll figure it out, right? Thank you guys and see
yeah.
you post Diwali and wishing you all a very happy Diwali right now.